Anxiety. What comes to your mind when I say that? A lot of people have different opinions and perspectives towards that word. But before I begin, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever experienced some sort of jittery feeling when you start talking to a stranger? Or restlessness when you're about to speak in front of an audience? Or even as simple as being scared about the fact that people are watching you and staring at you in public places? Well, this, my friend, is how you define the common symptoms of anxiety. Did you know that anxiety could occur as a normal reaction to panic and concerns? Let me tell you, anxiety is not always the most negative thing. Now I want you to imagine this. If a car was about to come right at you and was about to hit you in less than a minute, your first reaction would be to immediately run away to a safer place, yes? This reaction would appear from feeling scared, attacked, and anxious. These feelings itself are the byproduct of someone experiencing anxiety. It can be quite helpful for situations that require high levels of fight or flight responses, as it plays a critical role in one's survival. And have you ever noticed that when you are also required to perform under pressure, the stress that emerges into you can actually be helpful? It can help you cope with the threat and also as a motivation for you to complete your assignments at work or even at school. Even so, it is very true that anxiety can become quite the challenge when it gets overwhelming and uncontrollable. This usually occurs during situations that don't produce any real and harmful threats. It could possibly turn into a disorder when the emotion of the anxiety is taken to an extreme level. These anxiety disorders are categorized into several types, such as generalized anxiety disorder, specific phobias, social anxiety disorder, selective mutism, separation anxiety disorder, and some other types of anxiety disorders. Each of them produces a different yet intense and excessive emotional response, followed with different symptoms alongside it. Both normal anxiety and an anxiety disorder are commonly executed with physical symptoms such as dizziness, increased heart rate, trembling, sweating, and rapid breathing. However, in an anxiety disorder, these symptoms could occur much longer. And by longer, I actually mean weeks or even months. People with anxiety disorder have the tendency to grow feelings of attachment, especially with reality. They find it difficult to sleep, to think, or even to concentrate on daily activities. According to the World Health Organization, more than 260 million people are living with anxiety disorders today. In Indonesia itself, 3.3% of the population are currently suffering from anxiety. By 3.3%, I mean 8 million people. With that being said, people around us could be going through anxiety phases without many of us knowing, as it is sadly very, very common. As I mentioned earlier, anxiety can be followed by various physical symptoms. Plenty of studies have already proven us that anxiety can severely physically harm us. But anxiety is also treatable. Therefore, it is as important to step in and take control to stop and prevent anxiety before it ruins our health completely. Embrace and accept your feelings. Have you ever thought that our mental suffering is caused by our personal attempts to ignore or avoid the existence of negative feelings rather than realizing that we can actually allow and tolerate them? Change in emotions is a natural process, and our attempts to disown those unwanted feelings are just the same as we interrupt that natural process of emergence and completion of emotional experience. If we suppress our anger, squeeze back our tears, and hold back our expression, it means that we prevent ourselves from completing and moving on. Sooner or later, suppressing our feelings can lead us to numbing ourselves or even emotional explosions. And that numbness doesn't only occur to your negative feelings, but also to the feeling of love, joy, and happiness. Instead of avoiding, start learning to face and manage them. Improve the way you think and start learning to take a change. People are scared to take actions because they are afraid of failing and making mistakes. They think making a mistake means devaluing them as a person. They are way too scared of what other people think about them. At the same time, they are more likely to think about the negatives because it seems so much more realistic. In psychology, there's a treatment called cognitive behavioral therapy, or also known as CBT. This treatment is based on the idea that how we think, how we feel, and how we act are all connected. Specifically, the way we think determines our feelings and how we behave. Instead of imagining what could go wrong, train yourself to think positively. Somehow, thinking about yourself doesn't make you selfish. You also need time and space to take care of yourself, to think about yourself, to think what is good for yourself. Even though we feel doubt, dealing with anxiety is about learning to take actions in order to prove to our brain that it's all just in our head. As a psychologist named Don Huebner said, the possibility of a bad thing is often worse than the actual bad thing. In closing, I would say that anxiety will always be there. It will help you when it comes at the right time and the right amount, but it may destroy you if you let it control you for a long time. Identify the triggers and try to find your best coping strategy. Remember, everyone has their own coping mechanism and they have their own way to deal with anxiety or their problems. So if after several attempts one still doesn't work on you, don't force yourself to make it work. Don't force yourself, as it also takes time. Acknowledge and appreciate every little progress you make. Thank you.